Good morning, and welcome to day 2 of our Coming Home to Ourselves series. And today we're going to be talking about beliefs you didn't choose. And this is a really interesting concept to start to explore, because when we look at why we do what we do and coming home to ourselves, there's a large aspect of this that is starting to consider why we do what we do. And so one of the things that my mentor encouraged me to do as I was starting to unravel and go through this same process was to ask myself why. All day long, to ask myself why. Why do I do this? Because what we never are taught, maybe not never, but oftentimes aren't taught, is that we have a choice, and that what is being served to us is oftentimes a form of conditioning. And so there's a story that comes to mind that you may have already heard before, but it's this cute family that's gathering together at Thanksgiving time, and they are getting ready to bake the ham. And as they prepare the ham, they cut off the front end and the back end. And at this point, the daughter says, "Mom, why do we cut off the ends of the ham?" And she says, I don't know, go ask your grandma. I do it because that was how she taught me to do it. And so she goes over to the grandma and she says, just curious, what is the purpose of doing that? And as luck would have it, her great grandma was still around, and she said, I don't know, that's what my mom did. Go ask your great grandma. And so she goes over to her great grandma and she says, no one seems to know why we cut off the ends of the ham, and I'm just curious why we do that. And the great grandmother says, I don't know why they're all cutting off the ends of the ham. I just couldn't get it to fit in my pan. And I think it's a really excellent depiction in a comical way of how oftentimes we pick up the energy that has been given to us without ever questioning why. And usually the energy that's been given to us has been from a parent or a family member or society, because that is what was feasible at the time. Usually we're doing the very best we can with the tools that we have, and it takes a lot of conscious awareness to question why. And so a lot of times the stories and the beliefs and the ideas that we've been given are just from a place of where that person was at and how they were responding, and that this is what they felt was best at the time. Now there's another dynamic that also plays into this that starts to become really interesting. And for me, this was one of the most liberating moments of my life. It goes back to one of the concepts we talked about yesterday, is understanding your human design. Well, based on whatever your human design is, that's going to play a big role in what is true for you versus what's true for another person. So for example, one thing that's true for me is that I naturally am going to tend towards being a bit more unstructured. And this has come out, A, just by looking at me, but B, through many, different personality things I've had to do. I remember being in one of my jobs, and they required you to do this really in-depth personality profiling. And the person came back and said that part of my personality was unconventional. And so I was not going to perform in the way that mainstream people would perform. And so when you can understand those things, it becomes a huge relief, because for me, I was raised in an environment where my mom was very structured. She labeled all of her pens to what drawer and what room they went into. And so if you took the pen out of that room, you were in deep shit. And so for me, I couldn't quite understand it, because that is not the way I operate. But neither one is right or wrong. But what happens a lot of times is that if that's not the way we operate, we frequently will internalize it that something's wrong with us or that something's wrong with them, instead of just pausing and going, why do I do this? If this doesn't work for me, why do I do this? And do I have to do this? And that's kind of the obvious but interesting and empowering question, is what would happen if I didn't do this anymore? What would happen if this really wasn't true for me and I decided to stop cutting off the ends of the hand in this area? And so as you get deeper into this work and coming home to yourself, the invitation is to start asking yourself, why? Why do I do this? Why do I believe this? Whose voice is this? And is it a voice that I want to honor anymore for my own life? So as we settle into today, go ahead and take a deep breath in. Close your eyes. Take a moment to begin connecting into your body. Noticing your 5 senses. Anything you hear, anything you smell, anything you taste, anything you feel against your skin. And then begin opening that communication, letting your mind, body, and spirit know that you are here to connect and that it's safe to connect with you. Starting to notice if the more that you're doing this, if it's getting easier to settle into yourself. How willing and honestly excited your soul and your body and the spirit is to connect with you and to talk with you. So then as you're ready, asking your body and your soul to bring forward a belief that feels heavy or painful or uncomfortable. It could be something like that you're not good enough, or that you're never on time, that my house is a mess. Taking a moment to listen, allowing it to bubble up from that deeper knowing, that deeper voice that we learned about yesterday, rather than from the mind. What is a belief that you've been carrying that really isn't very helpful? And once you see it and feel it and can connect with it, then ask your body to show you, whose voice is this? Where did this come from? Where did this belief originate from? Often what will happen is a little memory might bubble up. You might see yourself at a particular age or in a particular environment. And as that begins to bubble up, notice what it's drawing your attention to. Why did you agree to this belief at the time? What was happening? What caused you to internalize this to be true? If you're not entirely sure, you can even step into the memory. Kneel down or sit next to yourself in this memory and take a moment to really connect, to look into your own little eyes and ask what's going on here? Why did you pick this belief up? Because what often happens is that in these times of stress or survival or conditioning, we fragment off, we believe something that isn't true, and this is your opportunity to heal that. As you sit in this space with yourself from a younger time, can you help them understand what a more honest and deeper truth might be now? Holding a lot of compassion. Wow, I see the type of fear or the acceptance or the understanding that you needed. I'm so sorry you felt like you needed to pick that belief up. You don't have to believe that anymore. The truth is that you are powerful and capable, and that this is your life and you get to live it the way that feels most supportive for you. So, and if you're ready, go ahead and physically clear that belief off of this version of yourself. Allowing it to release in love, sending it back to wherever it came, thanking it for the lessons that it's taught you, for the way it's helped shape you into the person that you are, while also honoring that you are ready to come home to a deeper knowing and a deeper acceptance of who you are and what resonates with you now. And then giving yourself a big hug and allowing that fragmented version of you to come back home, to dissolve back into you. This is what it feels like to come home to yourself. To heal at that deep level, to question and to release what no longer serves. You're welcome to take a few more minutes in meditation, to just sit and honor yourself. After experiences like this, it can be really helpful to journal. Oftentimes more insights will arise around these beliefs or these conditioned patterns. And the invitation today is to ask why. Why do I do the things that I do? And if I could choose, is this really the way I would still do it? Wishing you a very liberating day.